Hello and welcome to Krista the Crafty. My name is Krista and I really appreciate you being here. Today we're going to be working on block 9 of Block of the Week, and this one is called the Ribbon Star Block. This is a wonderful little block that you can put together in really no time. It consists of half square triangles and just squares, and you put them together and it makes a beautiful little block. Let's not waste any time, let's just jump right into it. For the Ribbon Star quilt block, you will need 3 4-inch dark colored squares. You will need 3 4-inch light colored squares. You will need a background color, and from the background color, you're going to need 6 4x4-inch squares and 4 3.5-inch squares. The first thing we're going to do is to take our 6 4-inch squares and we're going to draw a line on the back side of our squares. So I'm just using this material. It's got kind of a pattern. I thought it would be nice. But I'm just going to take my ruler and draw corner to corner like this on all of the 6-inch white or background blocks. And then we'll start putting these blocks together. Now I'm going to take my 3 4-inch dark colors and 3 4-inch light colors, and I'm going to pair them with the white 4-inch squares that have the line through. Just like so. We're going to line them all up, and this is how we're going to match them up, and then we're going to sew a scant 1/4 inch on either side of this line, and then we'll cut it in half, and then we'll have some half square triangles. So I'm going to do that with all of these. We'll keep those for later. Just a reminder that you drew the lines on the back side of your background squares, and that you're putting your 2 pieces of fabric right sides together. Okay, now I have them all laid out ready to go. I can take them over to the sewing machine and I can chain piece them. We're going to sew these with a scant 1/4 inch. What does that mean? We need to put our needle over at the 1/4 inch spot if you have that option, or you need to move your presser foot over so that you're just sewing a 1/4 inch. So a scant 1/4 inch is just shy of the 1/4 inch. So instead of, normally I would run my presser foot right along this line, I'm going to move it over just not even 1/8 of an inch, like a hair over. Okay, and that's what I'm going to do, because if we don't, our blocks won't be big enough. So make sure you're using that scant 1/4 inch. Okay. And I'm going to chain piece my blocks. So that just means that I'm not going to cut my thread in between the blocks. I'm just going to continue to sew. So I'm going to get everything lined up here. And then remember to do that scant 1/4 inch stitch. When you get to the end, I just lift my needle, lift my presser foot and turn. And kind of give the thread a little tug, and then line it up and just keep sewing. Now we can just take our little snips and snip them apart, and we're ready to go and cut them apart. So I'm going to take them over to the cutting board, and I'm going to cut these in half right on that pencil line. Okay, so I'm just going to use my little ruler. Yep, that'll work. Line it up right on that pencil line and cut them in half. And I'm going to do that with all of these. Take these over to the ironing board, and we're going to press the seams to one side. Fold them open like that. And that's our square. Now we need to trim these up to 3.5 inches square. So I'm going to use my Omni Grip ruler because it has this center line, I'm going to line that up right in the center. I'm going to give myself enough room on this side. I'm going to trim these two sides, and then I'll come back and trim the other side. So, like that. And turn it. Now I can line this up at the 3.5 inch mark, line up this and this line in the center. And there's our beautiful little block. Let's continue doing these, and I will meet you back at the sewing machine when I'm all done. So now we can actually start putting our block together. We're going to start with one white. Now make sure you're putting these right sides facing up. So one white. Now this is my dark and this is my light. So I'm going to put one dark half square triangle like that. I'm going to put one light half square triangle like that. And then I'm going to put another white block here. So that's the beginning of our block. Now we're going to take this one and point it up like this. So the 2 points of the dark should be touching. And I'm going to take another dark and we're going to fill that in. So it kind of looks like a little ribbon. And then we're going to take a light and we're going to turn it in like this and like this. So now we have our two, looks like little cut ends of a ribbon up there. Now we're going to reverse the order of these. So I'm going to put this one like this one like this. We'll do the same with the dark over here, like that. These whites will go on the corners, and then these, whoops, this one will go here, and this one will go here. Isn't that pretty? I think that's just such a nice looking little block. So pretty. Now to sew it together, it's very easy. We're going to sew them together in rows. So this row together, this one, and this one. You can start at the top or the bottom. It doesn't really matter. You're going to take this block and you're going to fold it over. You're going to match it up, and we're going to put a pin in there. Now half square triangles are wonderful blocks because with them you can make so many different types of blocks, which I've already made four, I guess, different blocks using half square triangles, but how you put them together and it changes the look of it entirety. So pin this together, and I'm going to take and I'm going to pin this one together right now as well. And that way, when I go to the sewing machine, I can take these and sew a 1/4 inch stitch with a 2.4 stitch length down both of these. Bring this in, line it up. My sewing machine is already set, and I'm going to sew all the way down this side. All right, so now if we look at our layout, it's like this. Now we need to put these sides together. So I'm going to flip this over, put a pin in here on the bottom. There we go. And I'm going to nest these seams together. But because we pressed both of the seams to the dark side, one of these has to go the other way. Because this fabric is lighter, I'm going to choose to move that over to the other side. And I'm going to line up these seams like that. And I'm going to run a pin right down this seam line so that when we go to sew it, I know that they're going to be lined up. Okay, so let's just lay everything out like this. We're going to start sewing right up here. I'm going to start sewing. Get that pin out of the way. And there is our bottom row. So I'm just going to continue doing the same thing, okay? I'm going to sew these two together like that along this seam, and then I will sew these two together and I will bring it back and lay it back down here. I'm going to do that for the rest of the other 3 rows. We now have all the rows sewn together. So now we need to start sewing them this way. So I just like to take this one, fold it over, and again, we're going to bring in our pins because we're going to match up these seams like that. I'm going to put a pin right in the middle of that seam to hold everything in place. And we're going to do that for each of these intersections. And before you know it, we will have this all done. And I'm just going to pop a pin in here. And now we can take this and sew it down here. And then I'll do the same with these two. And then I will join these two together. There we go. Our next step is to take it over to the ironing board and give it a good press. Bring this in. Try to keep the seams as flat as possible. It's definitely a lot of seams here. Just gonna actually press these all to the same side. And then I will turn this over and we're gonna give a real good press from the front. There's a lot of bulk right here in these seams. Oh, it's so pretty. This block is wonderful. I love it. It just comes together so quick and easy. The hardest part is making the half square triangles, but once you get them made, it's just putting them together and then, you know, sewing each row together and bada boom, bada bing, you're all done. I really hope you enjoyed this block today. You can use this in so many different ways. You can use it in quilts, in table runners. You could use this as a cushion cover. So I really hope you enjoyed this block today. It was a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing you when we do block 10 next week. We're getting close. I can't believe we're at block 10 already. I'll put some more videos coming up next, and you can check those out while you're waiting for me to upload a new video. Thank you again for joining me, and happy crafting.